I saw these headlines and I said, this is something that we should definitely address. Me, so much being the owner of Odu Kwan Taekwondo, which my father founded in 2005 after running a dojo in Bluefield, West Virginia for a long time. It became his sister dojo. So I'm sure that he would have had some thoughts on the subject matter, but we have you in his stead as a Shaolin Kung Fu master, the owner of the Shaolin Experience, and a guest instructor with us, where we hope to be able to schedule a workshop where you show us some crucial elements of Shaolin Kung Fu, as well as self-defense techniques that we can all use in these very tumultuous times.
Right, right.
You are very well qualified to speak on the subject that we're about to endeavor on. So, you yourself, being the owner of the Shaolin Experience, you have over 40 years of martial arts experience in Kung Fu, Ninjutsu, and Taekwondo. And in Kung Fu, you are a Black Sash instructor level, and you've been teaching for quite some time.
Right.
And so I want to talk about the headline with Derek Chauvin, if you don't mind if we get right into it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so listen, I was reading this headline about Derek Chauvin
Hmm.
knowing Kung Fu. And it really piqued my interest. I saw this headline on Yahoo News yesterday. As you know, I gave you a call right away. And I was like, oh my goodness. And we talked several times last night, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on with this guy?" So, what the story is that there's this gentleman. His name is Andre Valian, and he went to school with Derek Chauvin, and he's currently a martial arts instructor at the Praying Mantis Kung Fu Association in St. Paul, Minnesota. And apparently, he trained with Derek Chauvin or Chauvin up there in St. Paul, Minnesota, and he showed some photos in his interview, which is actually on YouTube, with Derek Chauvin in class. And he had this to say about the former police officer who is now charged with the murder of George Floyd. He had this to say. He said, "No way could it be unintentional." Um, and he went further to say about his teacher, who I believe was Master Jin Fu Mark,
Okay.
who taught praying mantis kung fu style. He said this of his instructor and master teacher. He said, "My teacher passed away in 2018. As hard as it is to say, I'm relieved that he didn't have to witness this, just because he would have been entirely distraught that somebody who used to be his student strayed so far from his teacher." What do you have to say about that? What do you think about
One, I want to say that for Derek Chauvin, whatever his name is, to be a kung fu practitioner, it's a disgrace to even say that. One, as a martial artist, you are taught to be humble and you're taught to walk away from problems and situations. Him being a practitioner of the art, or claiming to be a practitioner of the art, to be a police officer, one is who's supposed to protect civilians. For what he did is it's called a submission hold.
that? Hmm.
One, for George Floyd to be handcuffed and to be held down by three officers. For him to be a practitioner, he should have been able to control this handcuffed man all alone.
Now, let me ask you this question. Now, what is the difference between Shaolin Kung Fu and Praying Mantis Kung Fu? Now, you are a master in Shaolin Kung Fu, and Derek Chauvin actually studied Praying Mantis style. So, what are the difference between those two styles?
Well, Shaolin is from the southern side of martial arts, where you have many different animals. Praying Mantis is just a style of Kung Fu.
Okay.
Okay. You have many different styles. Praying Mantis is just a style. Like you have leopard is a style, snake. Every animal has their own style and has their own techniques that they use or utilize during
Right.
any fights. So praying mantis is just a style. It's not a type, it's just a style.
Okay. Now, in the praying mantis style, as opposed to the Shaolin style, or in one or both, is there any type of knee to neck holds that you teach or you demonstrate?
There are, and what Derek Chauvin did, he cut the oxygen or the breath by kneeling on Mr. Floyd's neck, as well as with his knee in the middle of his back. He was utilizing pressure points to constrict his breathing. And to do that as a police officer, knowing what you're doing is simply murder. So he shouldn't be charged with a felony 3. He should be actually charged with a felony 1st degree.
Now, the knee to neck hold, which is called a submission hold, and
Correct.
as you stated, and you also mentioned vital points. And I know from Taekwondo that there's about 280 vital points on the body, and we actually rank them in or in a, how do I say it, from like 1 to 5, 5 being the most lethal,
Right.
and that
Lethal.
pressure point on the neck, we consider that a number 5, and so therefore, if he had any type of martial arts training, whether it be in praying mantis or Shaolin Kung Fu or Taekwondo, he would have known about the lethality of it,
Right,
if that's a
right.
word.
He would have known that it was one of the most deadly pressure points that he was on. Now
Now,
on the go ahead.
no, you continue, please.
On the flip side of things, if George Floyd was a martial arts practitioner for let's say just for at least 5 years, George
Mm-hmm.
Floyd would have known how to get out of that move.